We see Dr. Jorgen and his colleague Anderson excitedly discussing a successful experiment. The two embrace. 5 years have passed. Andreas presents his research to an audience packed with people in a conference room in Italy. He has brought a box with him, which he carefully places on the podium. Then he gives a speech about the negative consequences of global warming, which causes a shortage of food and water. We needed ideas to solve this problem. He further explains that their project is aimed not just at reducing global warming, but also at solving the problem of lack of natural resources. He says that this is the only practical and humane remedy against the most serious problem of humanity. Then it shows what is inside the box. People sigh in surprise when they see a tiny Dr. Jorgen in a box. He looks like an ordinary normal person, but smaller in size. No one can believe their eyes. People stand up to get a better look at Dr. Jorgen. Dr. Jorgen asks everyone to sit down. There's a tiny microphone in front of him, and he starts talking. He says that 5 years ago, he and his team developed a procedure that reduces all organic material at the cellular level by a ratio of 27:44:1. That is, a person with a height of 1 meter 80 centimeters can be reduced to 13 centimeters. Using this process, Dr. Jorgen turned into a midget. The procedure has been tested on a large number of plants and animals. And they found out that the procedure is irreversible but has no side effects. 36 volunteers joined Dr. Jorgen's team, and they have been living like little people ever since. The procedure only requires the removal of dental and other prostheses. A person fully comes to his senses an hour or two after he has become small. Then they bring 36 project volunteers to the stage, who are now small. They have been living in the world's first small colony for the last 4 years. They also had a small child. The audience applauds admiringly. This is the biggest one. Now the concept of size reduction is introduced. People around the world are shocked to watch a TV show broadcasting an attractive advertisement about this discovery. She urges everyone to shrink in order to save the planet and improve life. Half of Safrana. One of the viewers, he watches this advertisement with trepidation, then goes home to his sick mother. She's the only person in Paul's life. She complains about the reduction program, saying that the same energy should be directed to finding a cure for her illness.
I can't breathe. Who cares?
Now, 10 years later, Paul's mother has long died. Paul now works as an occupational therapist, married to his wife Audrey Safrank. The couple is experiencing financial difficulties and is forced to move to a new house because of this. Meanwhile, the reduction program has become increasingly popular over the years. Several tiny colonies were created all over the world. 3% of the world's population has experienced a decrease and currently lives in these colonies. One day, Safranki go to meet classmates of the old school. There they meet their old friends Dave and Carol Johnson, who have shrunk. After the meeting, they gather at a friend's house, where Johnson brags that this is the best decision they have ever made in their lives. They now live in a tiny colony in New Mexico, called Kfavel. People are shrinking to save themselves. When Paul praises Dave for how much he has done for the environment, Dave admits that he only did it for the money. The fact is that after the reduction, expenses fall by 90%. Dave was broke in Vegas before they decided to participate in the program. Now he and his wife are going on a 6-month trip to Italy and will burn out their lives in a huge mansion. Interested in miniature life, the next day Paul and Audrey go to convention in Kfavel. There, a reduced man tells them about the benefits of reduction. He shows them his dream home right in front of him. The miniature house opens, revealing a luxurious interior. In the house, a woman takes a bath and shows off with her diamond jewelry, which cost her only $83. Paul and Audrey are fascinated by the luxurious life of little people. Then they go to the observation deck, where they inspect Kefaville. The colony is covered with nets to keep out and harmful ultraviolet rays. The couple watches everything happening with trepidation and decides that they too will shrink in size. They meet with an agent who tells them that in Kefaville, their $152,000 will turn into $12 million.
In Kefaville, your $152,000 will turn into $12.5 million.
Paul and Audrey are stunned. Later, we see them selling their stuff at a yard sale in order to sell out everything and shrink. Later that day, they meet at a pub where their friends and family say goodbye to them. That same night, they put their wedding rings in a box to bring them to their miniature home when they shrink and move. The next day, they go to the convention in Kefaville, where they will be reduced. However, we can see that Audrey doubts her decision. They are separated in the waiting room. Paul is carried out for the procedure first. The couple is informed that they will meet after the procedure, when they have already been reduced. First, employees shave the head and eyebrows of the floor, since their size cannot be reduced. He is then dressed in hospital clothes and sedated to remove all the hair on his body. They do the same with several other men next to Paul. Since it is impossible to reduce dentures and implants, dental surgeries are performed on everyone and dentures are removed. After that, they are left naked in the incubation hall. The doors to the hall are closing. After a while, they open, and we see that everyone inside has been reduced. Now they are carefully pricked with a spatula and placed on miniature ones. Then they are handed over to the little nurses from the Buzz Villa. Their dentures are returned to the oral cavity. Finally, the procedure is completed, and the newly reduced people go to rest. When Paul wakes up, he sees that he is alone in the waiting room. She also gives him a huge cracker as a gift. He asks where Audrey is, so the nurse goes to look for her. After a while, she comes with the phone. Audrey is talking on the other end. She frantically and confusedly informs Paul that they have shaved her head and eyebrows. Then we see Audrey herself bald and with one eyebrow at the airport. Paul is shocked to learn that Audrey ran away when they started shaving her eyebrows. She decided not to shrink at the very last moment. Two people are shouting at each other on the phone. Wait! Are you going to leave me? As a result, Paul is now alone in a new city of reduced people. He is taken to his luxurious mansion, but now he has to live there alone. A year has passed. Paul divorced Audrey and moved into a new apartment. He expected an easy life, but as a result of the divorce, half of his assets were taken away from him. He currently works at a call center and is dating a girl named Kristen. One night, she and Paul are having dinner in his room, and when Paul's neighbor is upstairs, Dushan enters and informs them that he is hosting a party. Later, Kristen and Paul break up, which prompts him to go to Dushan's party after all. Here he feels like this is the best time of his life. He kisses a random girl and she gives him a pill. The drug begins to overwhelm Paul, and he enjoys the whole night. The next morning, he wakes up under the table in Dushan's apartment. The cleaners come. One of the workers is limping, and this attracts Paul's gaze since he is an occupational therapist. He asks her to sit down and helps her with a prosthetic leg. Paul recognizes the cleaner as Ngoc Lan Tran, a Vietnamese political activist who has been imprisoned and reduced against her will. Ngoc Lan's story was then broadcast around the world, but eventually it died down. Ngoc Lan takes Paul to his neighborhood to see the people here, even though he is a physiotherapist, not a doctor. Paul sees that the place where she lives is in extreme poverty, even though they are miniature. There, Paul helps Ngoc Lan with a prosthetic leg, but accidentally breaks it. As a result of his failure, Ngoc Lan forces him to clean up while she waits for a new prosthetic leg to arrive. Paul goes to work with Ngoc Lan every day and does the cleaning for her. They collect leftovers from the people they work for and bring them to the Ngoc Lan community to distribute them among the poor. Paul sees the good in the Ngo clan. Although she suffers herself, she doesn't forget to help other people in her community. One day, Ngo clan gets a job as a cleaner in Dushan's house. Dushan is surprised to see that Paul works as a cleaner and makes fun of him. Paul informs him that he is forced to do Ngo clan work from 6 weeks to a month since he broke her prosthesis. Seeing how his friend is suffering, Dushan decides to help him. He offers Paul the opportunity to leave by joining him and his friend Joris Conrad on a trip to Norway, where the first small community of the diminished was created. However, Ngo clan insists that she also wants to leave because she was called by the doctor who started it all, Dr. Jorgen. The doctor also lives in that colony and would like to meet Ngo clan because of her heroic protests in Vietnam. The guys don't really believe in this story, but in the end, they take it with them and go to Norway. A few days later, they all sail along the fjord on Dushan's yacht. They suddenly encounter Dr. Jorgen and his wife on their own yacht, also going to the colony. Ngo clan finally meets Dr. Jorgen, who apologizes to her for having been forcibly subjected to his reduction procedure. The group is also informed about an increase in methane emissions in Antarctica, which will increase global warming by a huge percentage. It's unstoppable, and due to mass overpopulation, humanity will eventually die out in 100 years. The reduction was invented to reduce the probability of such an outcome to some extent. But only 3% of the world's people have shrunk in size. Dr. Jorgen is devastated that he developed his creation too late to save the world. The damage is irreversible. Later, Ngo, Lan and Paul are together in her cabin. Paul checks her legs. One thing leads to another, and they end up having sex. The next morning, they finally reach the first colony. This is a tiny village where people live. In harmony, they are sincerely welcomed. There, the inhabitants created a large vault inside the mountain to isolate the colony and preserve humanity in the event of its disappearance. The whole village, along with Dr. Jorgen and his wife, plan to enter the vault the next day. Inspired by Dr. Jorgen's words, Paul also wants to go with the colony. He feels like he got here for a reason. So when Ngo asks if he will come back with her, he refuses. Dushan and Joris also decide to return to their home. It's the next day. A few hours before everyone goes to the vault, Ngo asks Paul if he had sex with her because he felt sorry for her. Paula replies that it wasn't out of pity, and she really means a lot to him. But the shelter gives his life a purpose. The time has finally come. Paul says goodbye and goes to the vault, while the other three sit outside. However, halfway through, he suddenly changes his mind. He realizes that he loves Ngo too much to go to the vault. He comes back and hugs her. Soon, the vault door closes forever.